We had a pastor here before Jeff who was here for 18 years, and that's a pretty long stint back then. And when he left, people were really devastated because it's like we didn't know what to do. What's going to happen to us? Where are we going to go? How? Just everything. At that particular time, I was on the board of consistory, and we trying to figure out who we were as a church. So we were going through Rick Warren's The Purpose-Driven Church, and everybody's asking, so what are we? And of course, everybody would say, oh, we're friendly, we're inviting, we are looking for seekers, trying to, go along with our mission and everything. And everybody's saying all these nice things. And they got around to me and I said, we're not any of those things. We're just not that. We want to be those things. That's exactly where we want to be, but we are not. We don't do that. For a little bit, I was kind of the heretic and everybody's going to throw me from the room, but then they all agreed that's exactly right. So we were looking for somebody who's going to take us to a whole different way. And a lot of that, I think, came in is we really wanted to live out that first part of the mission, and that is seeking those who don't know Jesus. We were very good at handling growing those who did. We had wonderful programs. We had wonderful stuff for everybody to be at, but we really weren't out seeking. And that's where we started looking and looked at several pastors, and yeah, they didn't quite fit. But when we found Jeff out in Illinois, it's like, yeah, we think this is the guy. And so we started pursuing him, and he was looking like, there's no way in the world I'm coming to Sioux City, Iowa. But through a lot of prayer, through a lot of conversations and stuff, then he decided to come here. And that was probably the best decision ever. It just changed the direction from being an inward-focused church to being an outward-focused church. And to me, that's really where we shifted and really started to grow. Because as you're reaching out, you're bringing people in, which causes everything to grow. Before, we were just kind of growing by attrition. We were stealing people from other churches who would come and like what we were doing. But by changing that focus and really going after that, that's where we started to grow. A lot of the changes came in really in worship style to begin with, because we wanted to start getting more contemporary. Before that, we were a very traditional church. I always say, 3 hymns, the Apostles' Creed and the Lord's Prayer. You had to have that in every single service. So we started trying to move a little more towards contemporary so we could be much more seeker-friendly, so people coming through the door wouldn't feel so scared by having to stand up and recite creeds and prayers and stuff that way. So that was kind of a big change to begin with. The other is, again, just really looking outside. Where can we find ways to serve this community? We always ask the question, if Sunnybrook would be gone, would anybody notice? And early on, we'd say only the people who walk through the door. Now, the change is, yeah, we would have the whole community would know this place was gone. It was a big project to put the church here on this property where it is back in 1988, because the church was not that big at the time, but they stepped up and said, we need to do this because we've got a whole city here that really needs us. So we put the facility here, and then we built it. This was a fourth piece that we put on the auditorium. So seeing that building stuff, people were going in with that. They were saying, yep, it's not for me. I'm doing this for the next generation, because that's who's going to enjoy it more than anything else. If you sit back and say, yeah, how's this going to benefit me? Hey, yeah, it's going to benefit you a little bit, but boy, you're going to be helping that next group of kids come up, and you're going to be continuing that faith in Jesus. Because someone once told me, he says, really, Christianity is one generation away from extinction. If you don't pass it along, it's not going on. Most of the things that are going on here today at the church, I had never, ever dreamed of a possibility. When we started coming, we weren't all that big, so you were doing a lot of trying to keep track of yourselves and trying to help everything that was a focus on your own kids and your own people and stuff. But seeing how that mission goes out to reach out to other people has just, made this church blossom. Everything from all the programs we have, Celebrate Recovery, the divorce care for, grieve share, stuff like that. And then to bring in the Hope Center. And quite honestly, when that first started, I thought, how are we going to do this? It's not in my skill set. How are we going to do this? But they had people in place to put it together and do it. And then when you start to see the impact that has on the community, how they know about this place as being a place that is helpful, place that is serving, place that is going out of their way to really live as Christians should live, instead of closing their doors and locking them and doing all that. But the Hope Center, to see how all the different places tie into it, and not just Sunnybrook. You're talking about Tyson Foods, how they bring in food all the time for us, how, Sam's will deliver extra milk when they've got it, how the grocery stores bring in all this stuff. And then, of course, all the people here who bring in everything that does it. You sit there going, this is a place where the community can get involved and serve the community. When we were kind of going through a lot of analysis as to what the church was and everything, we really came across an article that was really saying if children have a great time at church and the adults don't, they'll still keep coming back because parents want their kids to learn. If the kids have a really bad time, even if the adults love everything that's going on, they're not coming back. So we decided really to start investing in youth and children's ministries. And by doing that, it just kind of feeds on itself. We've always had superb youth leaders who really sit there and go, I understand the kids, but Jesus is the important thing. And that's what we're going to talk about. And that's what we want you to learn and understand. And by seeing that going on, parents want to bring their kids here because that's what they want. Other churches will maybe have a youth group and they'll do a few things, but sometimes it's pretty boring. Our people here are just wonderful. And that investment in there, I think, is bringing kids back into it. There's a statistic that says that when a church is 70% full, that it just won't grow anymore. And to sit there and say that we're going to stop growing and just say this is it, what? I don't think that's what Jesus asked us to do. He said, keep going, keep going, keep going. And I think the leadership here has done such a wonderful job of prayerfully considering what do we need to do? How can we best financially and physically make this place work? And the whole thing is, we just need more space. There's a lot of people out there who want to be part of this, and we don't want to exclude them because there's not a chair for them. And sitting at the keyboard every Sunday, I can sit there and look out and see there's no space for anybody here. And I see people come in the back door and they're looking around left and right trying to find a place, and ushers are trying to shoehorn people in down the row. And it's like, well, that's not a real conducive place for seekers. Yeah, your own people can maybe put up with it, but if you want to bring more people in, you need a place for them to sit comfortably, to enjoy the service, and to understand what's going on here. The campaign has a theme of for the one. And too often we think about what can I do to help this church grow, to help be part of this? And we tend to think, oh, I don't have a lot of money. I don't have a lot of influence. I don't have a lot of that. But you do. You have an influence with one. There's got to be one person. Someone once told me, he says, who is outside of your church friends who has refrigerator privileges in your house? And that means they can walk in and open your refrigerator and grab a Coke or whatever else. That's your one person who you need to be inviting here. And if each person invited one person, we'd have 6,000 people here on a Sunday morning. And that's all it takes to do it. It's been happening in smaller groups on that, but now we're kind of concentrating on that and using that as for the one. Who's your one? What do you do? The Great Commission says, go out into all the world and preach the gospel to everyone. Well, here's your chance to preach it. And you don't have to say it in so many words. You don't have to know all the Bible. All you have to know is, hey, come with me to Sunnybrook. And they'll find out about it. You have to invite them. It's not just going to happen.